Imagine the roar of the crowd, the clash of swords, and the thunder of a champion's victory. In ancient Rome, gladiators were more than just fighters. They were legends, symbols of courage, skill, and sacrifice. Today, we'll count down the top 10 most elite gladiators who carved their names into the pages of history. With so many incredible stories of skill, bravery, and rebellion, how do you decide who deserves to be at the top? It wasn't easy. Let's first dive into the criteria we used to create the ultimate ranking. We ranked the gladiators based on 4 key factors. Historical impact. Gladiators who changed history or culture ranked highest. Legacy. Those whose stories are still remembered today earned top spots. Arena achievements. Fighters with impressive records or unique styles stood out. Unique contributions. Innovators and specialists left unforgettable marks. By balancing these, we created our ranking to bring you the top 10 most elite gladiators. Who's number 1? Keep watching to find out. Let the countdown begin. Starting off our list at number 10 is Gannicus, the dual-wielding gladiator who led the charge. Gannicus was a Celt, likely captured during one of Rome's many conquests and sold into slavery. His strength, agility, and natural talent for combat made him an ideal candidate for the ludus, or gladiator school, where he trained to fight in the arena. What set Gannicus apart from the start was his unique fighting style. While most gladiators relied on a sword and shield, Gannicus mastered the art of dual-wielding swords, making him a spectacle in the arena. Gannicus wasn't just skilled, he was charismatic. In the arena, he fought with a flair that captivated audiences, often smiling or taunting his opponents before delivering the final blow. The crowds loved him for his confidence and showmanship. Every fight was more than just a battle for survival, it was a performance. In 73 BCE, Gannicus's life took a dramatic turn. Alongside his fellow gladiators, including the legendary Spartacus, he escaped the gladiator school of Lentulus Spatiatus. What began as a desperate bid for freedom quickly grew into a full-scale rebellion. Gannicus became one of Spartacus's trusted lieutenants, using his combat skills and charisma to inspire thousands of slaves to rise against their Roman oppressors. As a leader in the rebellion, Gannicus's prowess in battle became legendary. He fought with unmatched bravery and skill, often leading the charge against Roman forces. His dual swords became a symbol of the rebels' defiance. His ability to inspire and lead made him a vital figure in the rebellion. At number 9 is Tetraites, the Murmillo, whose fame spread across the Roman Empire. Tetraites was a Murmillo, a class of gladiator known for their large shields, short swords, and fish-shaped helmets. Unlike the lightly armed gladiators who relied on speed, Murmillos were all about strength, endurance, and heavy weaponry. Tetraites' most legendary battle that made him famous was against Prudes, a retiarius gladiator armed with a net and trident. This duel was a classic matchup, pitting the heavily armed Murmillo against the agile and lightly armored Retiarius. Tetraites' victory in this duel wasn't just another win, it was a defining moment that showcased his ability to adapt to different fighting styles. The Retiarius may have been faster, but Tetraites' strength, precision, and tactical mind secured his victory. Battles like this were so iconic that they were often used as training examples for future gladiators, cementing Tetraites' name in gladiatorial lore. Tetraites wasn't just famous in the arena, his name spread across the empire. While little was documented about Tetraites' life in ancient writings, graffiti celebrating his victories was found in cities like Pompeii and Gaul, evidence of his widespread popularity. His name was even found etched on glass in modern-day France, Hungary, and England, depicting his battle against Prudes. Unlike many gladiators whose fame faded after their deaths, Tetraites became a cultural icon. Fans immortalized him in inscriptions and drawings, ensuring his legacy lived on. Coming in at number 8 is not one, but 2 gladiators, Priscus and Verus, the gladiators who dueled for honor and freedom. It was the year 80 CE, and Emperor Titus had just completed the grandest arena in Roman history, the Colosseum. To celebrate, he organized 100 days of games, a spectacle unlike anything Rome had seen before. The highlight of these games was a duel between 2 gladiators, Priscus and Verus. These weren't just ordinary fighters. Both Priscus and Verus were seasoned warriors, chosen for their exceptional skill and reputation. The stage was set for a match that would captivate the entire city. As the two stepped onto the sands, the crowd erupted in anticipation. Priscus, armed with a gladius and a sturdy shield, faced off against Verus, a master of agility and counterattacks. From the very first clash of swords, it was clear that this was no ordinary fight. For hours, the two warriors fought with unmatched precision and stamina. Every attack was countered, every opening seized, and yet neither could gain the upper hand. The audience was on the edge of their seats, witnessing a battle that was more than just strength. It was a display of skill, strategy, and resilience. As the fight wore on, something extraordinary began to happen. Instead of aiming to humiliate or destroy one another, Priscus and Verus started fighting with a mutual respect rarely seen in the arena. Their endurance was remarkable, their skill unmatched. The crowd, normally bloodthirsty, was awestruck by their display of honor. After hours of combat, the two gladiators reached a point where neither could continue. Instead of pressing for a decisive victory, they lowered their weapons. The audience erupted, not with demands for death, but with applause for the incredible display of courage and respect they had just witnessed. Moved by their valor, Emperor Titus made an unprecedented decision. He declared both Priscus and Verus winners. Each was awarded the rudis, a wooden sword symbolizing their freedom. Thanks to the poet Martial, the story of Priscus and Verus has survived for nearly 2 millennia. Their duel stands as one of the most iconic battles in the history of gladiatorial combat. Flying in at number 7 is Hermes, the tactical gladiator who mastered multiple styles. While much about Hermes' early life remains a mystery, what we do know is that he trained in a ludus as a gladiator. His rise to fame wasn't just because of brute strength, it was because of his unique ability to adapt to any situation. While most gladiators specialized in a single fighting style, Hermes became proficient in many, making him a nightmare for any opponent. From the heavily armed Myrmio to the agile Retiarius, Hermes mastered multiple fighting techniques, a skill set that was almost unheard of in the gladiatorial world. It was said that he could fight as a Myrmio, Secutor, or Retiarius with equal skill. Hermes' versatility was his greatest weapon. In one fight, he might wield a gladius and shield as a Myrmio, relying on strength and defense. In another, he'd switch to the Retiarius style, armed with a net and trident, using speed and strategy to outmaneuver his opponent. His ability to seamlessly transition between styles made him an unpredictable and formidable force in the arena. Opponents never knew what to expect, giving Hermes a psychological edge before the fight even began. One of Hermes' most legendary battles pitted him against a Retiarius, a natural rival to his Myrmilo fighting style. But instead of sticking to his strength, Hermes stunned the crowd by switching tactics mid-fight, using the Retiarius' own weapons against him. The crowd erupted as Hermes claimed victory in a fight that showcased his adaptability and intelligence. Martial dedicated an entire poem to Hermes' superiority over other gladiators, emphasizing his strength, agility, and tactical intelligence. What made Hermes truly exceptional wasn't just his physical skill, it was his strategic mind. He studied his opponents, analyzing their weaknesses and tailoring his approach accordingly. This combination of strategy and skill allowed him to outwit even the most experienced fighters. Whether he needed to rely on brute strength, agility, or clever tactics, Hermes always found a way to turn the odds in his favor. 6. Carpophorus, the Beastmaster of ancient Rome. Carpophorus was a bestiarius gladiator specializing in venations, the dangerous spectacles where gladiators fought wild animals such as lions, bears, leopards, and even rhinoceroses. For this reason, these gladiators typically had an extremely short life expectancy. Carpophorus' most famous feat was his ability to defeat multiple wild animals in a single fight. One of his most notable appearances was at the opening of the Flavian amphitheater, where on account tells of him taking down a bear, lion, and leopard in a single battle. Each of these predators could easily overpower an unarmed man, but Carpophorus' incredible precision and courage made him a master of these deadly encounters. Armed with a spear and an unshakable resolve, Carpophorus struck fear into both animals and rivals. His agility and understanding of animal behavior set him apart, allowing him to anticipate their movements and strike with deadly accuracy. Carpophorus didn't just face predators like lions and leopards. Roman records suggest that he fought larger and more dangerous beasts, including rhinos and elephants. These animals were brought in from across the empire, making Carpophorus's battles even more exotic and deadly. These weren't just fights, they were spectacles designed to entertain and awe. Carpophorus became a key figure in these performances, with his name drawing massive crowds eager to see him tame the untamable. For Carpophorus, his fame came at a cost. The more animals he defeated, the more dangerous the beasts became. The Romans demanded ever greater spectacles, and the stakes continued to rise. It is said that Carpophorus defeated a rhino with only a spear. In his most impressive performance, Carpophorus slayed 20 beasts in a single battle. According to the poet Martial, Carpophorus could have handled the Hydra, the Chimera, and the fire-eating bulls at the same time. While we don't know exactly how Carpophorus's story ended, his ability to survive so many battles made him a true marvel of his time. At number 5 is Crixus, the undefeated Gaul who defied Rome. Crixus, whose name means curly-haired in Gaulish, was born a warrior in what is now modern-day France. Captured by the Romans during one of their many conquests, he was sold into slavery and trained as a gladiator. As a gladiator, Crixus was a murmillo. His brute strength and ferocious fighting style quickly earned him the nickname the undefeated Gaul. In the arena, Crixus was unstoppable, drawing massive crowds who came to watch his spectacular victories. Alongside his fellow gladiators, including the legendary Spartacus, Crixus staged a daring escape from the gladiator school of Lentulus Batiatus in 73 BCE. They overpowered their captors and fled into the Italian countryside. What began as a desperate bid for freedom quickly turned into a full-scale rebellion. Crixus emerged as one of Spartacus's closest allies, a leader who inspired thousands of escaped slaves to join their army. Together, they defied the Roman Republic. As the rebellion grew, so did Crixus's legend. Known for his fiery speeches and unrelenting courage, he led countless successful skirmishes against Roman forces. His battle tactics were simple but effective, overwhelming strength and fearless aggression. Despite their early successes, tensions arose between Crixus and Spartacus. While Spartacus favored retreating to the Alps and escaping Roman territory, Crixus wanted to march on Rome itself, taking the fight to the heart of the empire. This disagreement led to a split in their forces. Crixus, determined to prove his strategy was right, led a faction of 30,000 rebels to continue the fight. It was a bold move, but also a dangerous one. In 72 BCE, Crixus and his army faced a Roman force near Mount Garganus, led by the consul Lucius Gellius. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, Crixus fought bravely to the end, refusing to surrender even as his army was overwhelmed. Crixus's death was a devastating blow to the rebellion, but his legacy lived on. Spartacus honored him by holding funeral games, a gladiatorial tradition to commemorate his fallen ally. Spartacus had so much respect for Crixus that he sacrificed 300 Roman soldiers to honor him. Next up at number 4 is Marcus Attilius, the underdog who beat the odds. Marcus Attilius was a Roman citizen who chose to become a gladiator. Unlike the majority of his peers, he wasn't forced into the arena by slavery or punishment. Instead, he volunteered, possibly to pay off debts or to seek personal glory. Attilius trained as a murmillo, a heavily armed gladiator. But what set him apart wasn't just his weaponry. It was his determination to prove himself in the blood-soaked sands of the arena. In his very first fight, Marcus Attilius faced an opponent who seemed unbeatable, Hilarius, one of Emperor Nero's favorite champions with 13 consecutive victories. Hilarius was a crowd favorite, a seasoned warrior who had never tasted defeat. The odds were overwhelmingly against Attilius, but Attilius wasn't intimidated. From the opening clash, it was clear that the rookie wasn't just there to survive, he was there to win. Using a mix of agility, strategy, and unrelenting willpower, he managed to exploit Hilarius's weaknesses and land a decisive blow ending. Attilius's stunning victory wasn't just a personal triumph, it was a declaration. He had arrived in the arena, and his name quickly spread throughout Rome. He went on to defeat another veteran gladiator, Lucius Ratius Felix, who had won 12 battles in a row. The crowd loved an underdog, and Marcus Attilius became a symbol of unexpected greatness. His reputation soared, and he was soon pitted against more formidable opponents. Each battle was a test of his skill, and each victory solidified his place in the pages of gladiatorial history. Though Marcus Attilius's time in the arena may have been short, his impact was long-lasting. His victory over Hilarius became one of the most talked about moments in gladiatorial history, a testament to the power of perseverance and skill. Attilius's story has been preserved through accounts of his fights, and he remains a symbol of how even the most unlikely heroes can rise to greatness. Getting closer at number 3 is Spiculus, Emperor Nero's favorite gladiator. Spiculus was a Murmio gladiator who fought his way to the top, earning not just the admiration of the crowds, but also the attention of Emperor Nero. Gladiators like Spiculus didn't just fight, they performed. Their battles were carefully orchestrated spectacles designed to entertain and awe the Roman masses, and Spiculus was a master of the craft. In his opening match, Spiculus defeated the veteran gladiator Aptonidas, a free Roman citizen, ending his 16-match winning streak. Spiculus's rise to fame caught the eye of Emperor Nero, who was known for his love of gladiatorial games. Nero admired Spiculus for his brutal efficiency and charisma in the arena. The emperor's favor turned Spiculus into more than just a fighter. He became a symbol of Nero's power and extravagance. Nero showered Spiculus with gifts, including wealth, land, and an entire estate. Spiculus even became one of a few gladiators to own slaves. It's said that the two could have been friends, and that Nero's admiration for Spiculus went so far that the emperor wanted the gladiator to take his life in his final moments. But when Nero's empire crumbled, Spiculus was nowhere to be found, and Nero ended his own life. Spiculus combined strength, strategy, and showmanship to captivate the crowd and dominate his opponents. Every fight carried the risk of death, and the pressures of fame could be overwhelming. For Spiculus, the stakes were even higher because of his connection to Nero. As Nero's favor turned to infamy, so too did Spiculus's legacy. After Nero's death in 68 CE, the once glorious world of Spiculus faded into obscurity. While we don't know the exact details of his later life, his story serves as a reminder of how fleeting fame could be, even for Rome's greatest gladiators. Coming in hot at number 2, Flamma, the gladiator who chose the arena over freedom. Flamma, meaning flame, was born in Syria, far from the heart of the Roman Empire. His life took a dramatic turn when he was captured and sold into slavery, eventually finding himself in a ludus where he trained to fight in the arena. As a gladiator, Flamma was trained as a secutor, a heavily armed fighter equipped with a gladius, a rectangular shield, and a distinctive helmet designed to protect him in one-on-one combat. Flamma quickly rose to prominence in the arena, earning a reputation as one of the most skilled and fearless fighters during the reign of Emperor Hadrian. His battles were legendary, filled with dramatic moments that captivated audiences. Throughout his career, Flamma fought in 34 recorded battles, an extraordinary number for any gladiator. One ancient inscription honoring Flamma reads, "Flamma, secutor, fought 34 times. He was victorious 21 times, fought to a draw 9 times, and lost only 4. Age, 30. Nationality, Syrian." Even in defeat, his record over a ridiculously long 13-year career is legendary. Flamma's victories brought him not only fame, but also the chance to leave the arena behind. He was offered the rudis, the wooden sword that symbolized a gladiator's freedom, on 4 separate occasions. Each time, he turned it down. For Flamma, the arena wasn't a prison, it was his stage. Flamma's decision to stay in the arena only increased his fame. His name was celebrated across the Roman Empire, and he was immortalized in inscriptions and graffiti. Number 1. Spartacus, the gladiator who defied an empire. Taking the number 1 spot is none other than Spartacus, arguably the most famous name in gladiatorial history. Spartacus was more than just a fighter. He was a revolutionary during the Third Servile War. In the annals of history, few names inspire as much courage and defiance as Spartacus. Once a slave forced to fight for the entertainment of Rome, Spartacus broke free from his chains to lead one of the greatest rebellions the Roman Republic had ever faced. Spartacus was born in Thrace, a region in modern-day Bulgaria. and likely served as a soldier before being captured by the Romans. He was enslaved and sent to Ludus, a gladiator training school where his strength, intelligence, and combat skills quickly set him apart. But Spartacus wasn't content with merely surviving the arena. He yearned for freedom and began to form a bond with other enslaved gladiators who shared his dream of escaping Rome's oppressive grasp. In 73 BCE, Spartacus and about 70 other gladiators staged a daring escape from their school in Capua. Armed with nothing but kitchen tools, they overpowered their guards and fled into the Italian countryside to Mount Vesuvius. Along the way, he gathered weapons, supplies, and freed other slaves. What began as a small rebellion quickly turned into a massive uprising as thousands of slaves flocked to Spartacus's banner, inspired by his vision of freedom. He organized his growing army into a disciplined force, teaching them to fight like Roman soldiers and using their knowledge of the land to outmaneuver their enemies. Spartacus's army grew to nearly 100,000 men, women, and children, making it one of the largest slave rebellions in history. With every victory, Spartacus's reputation as a leader and a symbol of hope grew stronger. The Roman Senate, alarmed by the scale of the rebellion, sent their best generals to crush Spartacus. But time and again, the rebels outsmarted and defeated the Roman legions in more than 6 separate encounters, using guerrilla tactics and their intimate knowledge of the terrain. Despite their success, Spartacus knew that the rebellion couldn't last forever. His plan was to lead his army north to the Alps, where they could escape into freedom. But some of his followers, emboldened by their victories, wanted to march on Rome itself. This decision would prove to be a turning point in the rebellion, as it gave Rome time to regroup and send a much larger force to stop them. In 71 BCE, Spartacus's army faced their greatest challenge yet: a well-organized Roman force of 50,000 men led by Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of the wealthiest men in Rome. Outnumbered and outmatched, the rebels fought bravely, but were ultimately defeated in a brutal battle in Lucania. Though Spartacus's body was never found, it's believed he died on the battlefield, fighting to the very end. Rome sought to send a message by crucifying 6,000 of Spartacus's followers along the Appian Way, but instead of silencing his legacy, Spartacus's story grew even larger. Today, Spartacus is remembered not just as a gladiator, but as a symbol of resistance against oppression. His fight for freedom has inspired countless generations, reminding us of the power of courage and the will to stand against injustice. Spartacus wasn't just a fighter. He was a leader, a visionary, and a beacon of hope for the oppressed. His story is a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the fight for freedom is always worth it. From the blood-soaked sands of the Colosseum to the pages of history, these are the top 10 most elite gladiators that have left an indelible mark on the world. Do you agree with our ranking? Which of these warriors inspired you the most? What would you like to see in our future videos? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay elite.